Chapter 1. As soon as Joel walked through the door, I broke up with him. Just because I didn't reply to your message yesterday? He asked, rubbing the bridge of his nose in exhaustion. I nodded casually. Yes, just because of that. He let out a bitter laugh and sighed. My little troublemaker. What are you up to this time? Joel reached out to touch my hair like he always did. What kind of flowers do you want this time? From the orphanage to his rise as a successful entrepreneur, Joel always believed I could never leave him. I wasn't ignoring you. I told you, I was working yesterday. That project is important. I stepped back, avoiding his touch. That's all. I'm leaving. If it's not love worth 100 points, I don't want it. Chapter 2. Just because I didn't reply to your message yesterday? The light from the hallway fell across Joel's face as he sighed helplessly. My little troublemaker. What are you trying to pull this time? I wasn't ignoring you. I told you I was working yesterday. That project matters. I zipped up my suitcase and stood. As I passed him, I nodded. That's all. I'm leaving. Joel grabbed my hand. What kind of flowers do you want this time? Bellflowers? Jasmine? Red roses? I pulled away, looking up at that familiar face. Don't send me flowers anymore. I hate them the most. Just as I touched the doorknob, the door suddenly opened from the outside. I found myself face to face with Joel's secretary, Nicole. I lowered my eyes to the house key in her hand and smiled silently. Nicole's gaze flickered to my suitcase, a spark flashing in her eyes. Victoria, are you going on a business trip? She asked sweetly, her smile seemingly harmless. Go ahead. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Joel while you're away. I hadn't planned to respond, but she raised her voice deliberately, as if to make a point. Victoria, Joel didn't ignore your messages on purpose yesterday. It was my fault. That project is so important, and I kept messing it up. Joel was so patient and kind, teaching me all night. Don't be mad at him, Victoria. There's no need to run away from home just to make him worry. He's already working so hard. Joel said nothing, silently confirming her version that I was simply throwing a tantrum. I almost laughed. You've been here for 2 months, and you still can't finish a project proposal without the company president staying late to help you? Maybe you should return your salary to Joel. If I were you, I'd be too ashamed to take it. 2 months on the job, and instead of asking senior colleagues for help, you bother Joel, who barely has time to sleep. When it rains, instead of taking a taxi, you ask him to drive you. You even sit in my seat, the passenger seat next to him. Every time we plan a date, your apartment suddenly leaks or loses power. What are you, an orphan? No parents? No friends? Is Joel the only person you know in this city? Nicole's eyes widened, her carefully curled lashes trembling as if she'd suffered the greatest injustice. Victoria, you've gone too far. Joel stepped forward, gently patting Nicole's shoulder. She's only been here for 2 months. It's normal she doesn't understand workplace etiquette yet. We're supposed to guide her, not tear her down. You've become really harsh lately. Nicole's quiet sobs filled the silence of the room, painfully distinct. I turned my gaze to Joel's eyes. I've always been like this since I was a kid. You're just realizing that today? Then I looked at his face, so familiar, yet suddenly foreign. And this house key, you gave it to her that easily. Joel froze. I let out a bitter laugh, lifted my suitcase, and walked out. The home we built together after growing up side by side, he'd opened its door to someone else so easily. I pulled my coat tighter and stepped into the cold wind. Chapter 3. I went back to my other apartment and opened my laptop to send a resignation to HR. A second later, the head of HR called. Victoria, about this resignation, does Joel know? I smiled gently. He knows. Just approve it. She breathed out in relief. Why are you resigning? Is Joel expanding a new business and you'll take independent charge? I hesitated a moment. You can say that. From now on, my life really would be on my own. 2 exhausting days passed and I collapsed into sleep the moment my head hit the pillow. The next morning, I opened my social feed and saw the company girls' 9 photo post. It was an internal team building event. Everyone gathered around a table and there was a large cake in the middle. Joel wore a bespoke suit and looked expensive. Beside him was Nicole in a white dress, her bare arm delicate and slender. I tapped through the pictures and snorted wherever Joel went. Nicole was almost glued to him. In the group shot, everyone faced the camera. Nicole and Joel were shoved right into the center. If you didn't know them, you'd think Nicole wasn't a secretary but the boss's wife. Then Joel sent me a WeChat message, a photo of a slice of cake. It looked like a piece cut from that big cake, with the largest, reddest strawberry on top. I saved the biggest, prettiest slice for you. Don't be mad, come back to the office. Calmly. I deleted his message and erased every contact of his from my phone. I took a taxi to the orphanage. The director had grown a lot older. When she saw me, she raised her head in surprise. Victoria, you're back? Didn't you say work was busy? I hugged her. I missed you. I just wanted to come check on you. How have you been? Before she could answer, two people came out from the children's dormitory. Joel and Nicole. Nicole saw me and a look of triumph flashed in her eyes. Oh my. Victoria, you're here too? The director looked puzzled. Glancing between us, Joel stepped forward. I guessed you might come here. I came specifically to find you. The director looked even more confused. But just now you told me she was busy at work. Why didn't she come with you? Joel scratched his head. We had a fight and she blocked my contacts. I came here to find her. She wasn't here earlier and I didn't want you to worry. I looked at him coldly. Who gave you permission to bring her here? Nicole put on that same coy, aggrieved act. Joel looked helpless, as if I were the unreasonable one. She meant well. She heard I was coming to the orphanage to see you and wanted to bring something for the children to show her intentions. This place held our memories, where we met, where we grew up together. He brazenly used a plausible excuse to bring someone he knew had feelings for him. He even wanted to introduce her to me. My whole body trembled with anger. I stepped back hard. Joel, take her and get out of here. His expression darkened. Are you finished? Am I spoiling you too much? You throw a tantrum like this and now you're jealous because Nicole came to do some charity? I grabbed the toys and fruit nearby, things for the kids, and hurled them at them, shouting fiercely, "Get out! Get far away! If you ever come here again, I'll hit you." Joel's brow nodded. This is absurd. Calm down. Nicole trailed behind him and left with a stiff, offended walk. I breathed in huge gulps of air, my whole body shaking. The director seemed to understand and quietly stepped forward to hold me. All the accumulated grievances and pain of so long poured out in that instant. I couldn't stop myself and broke down in her arms. Chapter 4. That night, I didn't go home. I shared a bed with the orphanage director. She patted my shoulder and sighed deeply. When you two first came to the orphanage, you were just kids. From the moment Joel saw you, he really liked you. When you first arrived, you didn't know anyone, kept to yourself, and had quite a temper. The other kids didn't want to play with you, but Joel loved teasing you. He said you were pretty. When the others called you a little shrew, he didn't hesitate. He'd rush over and start fighting for you. Her voice gradually softened, but I kept staring out the window into the thick darkness of night, unable to sleep. Yes. How could a person change so quickly? That boy who once said he'd marry me, who defended me over and over, who stood by me without question, who trusted me without needing a reason. How could he become someone so unrecognizable? A man who no longer even understood boundaries? Back in school, he always carried 2 breakfasts in the morning and 2 school bags after class. Once, a boy from another class confessed to me, and Joel happened to see it. Furious, he shoved the guy away. Don't you know the order of things? She's my future wife. I blushed. He did too, his neck red, but he still said stubbornly, "You're not allowed to agree to anyone else. When we grow up and I have money, I'll marry you. We'll never be apart." The first time I got my period, he was the one who went to buy pads for me. Because of my cold constitution, I always suffered from painful cramps. So in his desk at school, and later in his office, there were always painkillers and brown sugar for me. During our first year of college, I was quiet and plain, and a rich, arrogant girl in my dorm led others to bully me. I never told anyone. I was stubborn and refused to complain, but I always got revenge. They threw my textbooks into the sink. I filled their bags with frogs. They turned off my alarm to make me late. I threw their socks and underwear into the toilet. I faced the world with defiance. Only Joel noticed the redness around my eyes and the sensitivity under my tough shell. When he pressed me for answers, I finally told him. The next day, He stormed into the girls' dormitory and smashed that girl's thermos into pieces. The crash echoed through the whole dorm building. It was the first time I saw that fierce look in his eyes as he glared at her. "If you dare bully Victoria again, I'll make sure you can't stay in this school." He got a major demerit for it. I scolded him for being reckless, but he just laughed and pulled me into his arms. "Our Victoria might have a sharp tongue, but don't forget, you've got me behind you. I'll always be your shelter." Later, we graduated, rented a tiny apartment, and started a business during the early internet boom. At every networking event, he never let me drink, preferring to drink until he got stomach bleeding himself. Once, a business partner got handsy with me after drinking, and Joel tore up the contract on the spot and punched him. We built everything from nothing, supporting each other through every storm, from a damp basement, to a cozy 2-room apartment, to a big flat downtown, to a luxury villa. Yet we often still lived in that first apartment we bought. I never doubted he would be the one to spend his life with me. We were supposed to get married this year, but everything changed when Nicole appeared. Unlike me, strong, capable, and straightforward, she was gentle, soft-spoken, and blushed before she even spoke. From her very first day at work, she was full of accidents. The printer jammed, the computer froze, she forgot to save files, caused countless minor problems. Joel never scolded her, saying, "She's just a fresh graduate. She needs time to learn." We had all been there once, so I didn't think much of it, until her first weekend on the job. That day was our anniversary. We had reserved our usual table at a couple's restaurant. The waiter brought the flowers and cake. Just as we were about to blow out the candles, Nicole barged in, crossing all boundaries. She grabbed Joel's sleeve. "Joel, there's a problem with one of the projects. Can you come back to the office with me?" I looked at her hand on his arm, my face darkening. "You're Joel's secretary. If you can't handle your job, is your boss supposed to clean up after you?" Nicole flinched as if frightened and pressed closer to Joel. "I'm sorry, Victoria. I didn't see you there. Don't be mad, but work is important, right? It's just a date, Victoria. Don't be jealous. Think of the bigger picture." I laughed in disbelief. A secretary who can't even do her job properly lecturing me about the bigger picture? You have no competence, no awareness, and yet you dare talk about priorities? If you can't do this job, resign. There are plenty who can. Tears welled in Nicole's eyes as she looked pitifully at Joel. Joel sighed and stood up. "The project really is important. She's new. It's normal she can't handle it yet. I'll go back and deal with it. For the first time." He didn't ask my opinion. He grabbed his coat and left with her. I stared at the unblown candles and the melting cake, and for the first time, I doubted our love. I was furious for days. Joel later sent my favorite white roses to the office himself, surrounded by co-workers' envious glances. I forgave him, pretending to be proud. After that came endless arguments. Nicole kept interrupting our dates, posting photos online filled with admiration and longing, finding excuses to work overtime with Joel. I was angry, hurt, and jealous countless times. Joel always defended her, saying she was just a naive girl who didn't understand boundaries yet. Every time we fought, he sent me different flowers, and every time, I softened, unwilling to give up the years we'd shared. Until that day, maybe our long stability had made me too sure of our love, and Nicole's presence had triggered my insecurity. I became desperate to fulfill our marriage promise, to use a ring, a certificate, to make him truly mine, a day in advance. I told Joel to meet me where we had our first date. I had something important to tell him. I'd prepared a ring. I wanted to tell him I was ready to marry him, to be his wife. But I waited there the whole day. The ring in my bag mocked my foolishness as I sat, watching the daylight fade into dusk. I opened my phone to see the messages I'd sent him that morning. He hadn't replied. Then came a notification, Nicole's new post. "Our CEO is so kind. When I had trouble with a project, he stayed late to guide me patiently. I'll work even harder and not let him down." It was paired with a selfie, half her face making a peace sign, with Joel's long legs visible behind her as he sat at her desk, smiling. In the distance, church bells rang. That was when I finally woke up from the dream. Trying to lock someone down with a ring, how foolish. This ring couldn't hold him. His heart was no longer entirely mine. Someone else's shadow already lived there. That wasn't the love I wanted. When I left, I threw the ring by the roadside. Chapter 5. The resignation I sent to HR a few days ago had already been approved. The company was something Joel and I built together, and I held a fair amount of equity. I thought it over, contacted a few minority shareholders, and sold my shares off in batches. I didn't want any more entanglements with Joel. I'd paid plenty to get the company to where it was. The proceeds from those shares were mine, fair and square. My college classmate Clara called to say she was organizing a reunion. I planned to start my own venture after leaving Joel's company. Some networking was worth maintaining, so I agreed. The reunion was at a mid-sized hotel in the city. They'd booked a banquet room, with light makeup and a simple outfit. I'd barely stepped into the hall when a few old classmates came up to me. "Victoria, long time no see, you're still so gorgeous." Clara hooked her arm through mine. After so long, seeing familiar faces felt unexpectedly warm, and I traded a few pleasantries. Clara glanced behind me. "Where's Joel? Didn't you come together?" "God, I'm so jealous of you two, childhood sweethearts. Always backing each other up. Your careers have been booming these last 2 years. When's the wedding?" I shook my head slightly. "We've broken up." Everyone's eyes went wide. "Broke up? No way. After all those years and finally making it through the hard times, how could you break up?" I smiled. "Nothing's impossible. People come and go all the time. It's normal." Clara eyed me, suspicious. "From the way you're talking, did Joel do something to hurt you?" I shook my head. "Maybe not." She didn't get it, but she could tell I didn't want to elaborate and let it drop. Just then, the door opened. Joel walked in, with Nicole behind him. I glanced back once, then looked away, indifferent, as if I hadn't seen them. Joel hurried over with Nicole on his heels. "Victoria, stop sulking. Why did you block me? You've been mad long enough. I'm sorry, okay?" He apologized with that same breezy grin. I pried his hand off and stepped back. "Keep your distance." Right on cue. Nicole edged closer. Small, pitiful, and oh so innocent. "Victoria, don't be mad at Joel. If you're angry, take it out on me. It's all my fault. If I weren't so slow, I wouldn't have taken up so much of Joel's time. He was just mentoring a junior. He didn't mean anything else. Joel is really kind and takes good care of me." Our classmates gathered around, their expressions mixed. Clara nudged my arm. "Victoria, who is this?" I tugged at the corner of my mouth and looked at Joel. "Aren't you going to introduce the person you brought, under what identity, to our class reunion?" For a split second, Joel's face faltered. Then he smoothed it over. "This is my secretary. She just graduated and isn't fully up to speed. But she tries. She begged to come see the world. And I figured it's just a reunion, lively atmosphere, so I brought her." Classmates looked from him to me, then back again, and kept quiet. I smiled and nodded. "Joel, always lifting up the juniors. Having a boss like you, what a blessing." I turned to leave, with so many people present. I didn't want an ugly scene, but Nicole didn't know when to stop. She grabbed my arm. "Victoria, please don't be mad. At a class reunion, at least let Joel save face. As his girlfriend, don't put him on the spot. Joel is really good to people. Look, he even picked out this outfit for me. He said it looks proper and gives me more presence." I pulled my arm free with a laugh. "Great, make sure your CEO gets paid for the service. These days, a CEO personally styling his secretary, your boss-subordinate dynamic is thriving. Next time, have him pick out your underwear too." Joel's face changed. "Victoria, what are you saying?" I shot him a glance, gave a cold snort, and walked off. At dinner, Joel deliberately sat beside me. I frowned and considered switching seats, but every seat was taken. Moving now would look deliberate, so I let it be. Nicole parked herself right next to him. The table talk drifted to school days. Someone mentioned how Joel and I used to be the golden couple on campus. I only smiled and kept quiet. Someone else asked if the wedding was this year. Had we set a date? Nicole's expression soured. She suddenly cut in. She placed a piece of sweet and sour pork in Joel's plate. "Try this, it's pretty good." Joel nodded as if it were normal and said nothing. People exchanged glances, sensing something off but not sure what to say. Joel took a bite and smiled, barring surprises. It'll be this year. Once we set the date, we'll send out invites. Nicole bit her lip and shot me a resentful look. I put my glass down and waited for the table to quiet. I cleared my throat. We've already broken up. You probably won't be getting an invite. Joel frowned. Victoria, don't talk nonsense. Don't make a scene in front of our classmates. The mood turned awkward. I set down my cutlery. I'm finished. Enjoy, everyone. Then I got up and went to the restroom. On my way back, I passed the smoking area and heard Joel's voice. A male classmate stood beside him. What's going on? Joel? Did you and Victoria have a fight? Joel chuckled. Fond and helpless. She's got a temper. Thinks I'm too close to the secretary and got jealous. But even when you two fought before, she never said break up. Saying it in front of everyone this time, she might be serious. Joel paused, then said with certainty, no way. We grew up together, always relied on each other. She can't leave me, and I won't let her go. The guy fell silent. I walked past without a word. Back in the banquet hall, dinner was winding down and people clustered in small groups to chat. I wasn't in the mood. I pulled out my phone and scrolled aimlessly. Nicole drifted over, tone pitched just loud enough for those nearby to hear. Victoria, you're really being inconsiderate. You've skipped work for days. Joel's been swamped, and I've been working late with him every night. Curious eyes turned toward us. I looked at Nicole's barely concealed glee, let out a short laugh, and stood up slowly. Nicole, being the other woman and making it public, do you have a kink for that? Does wrecking someone else's relationship make you feel accomplished? The hall went dead quiet. Nicole's face drained. She shrieked. What did you say? Victoria? Who are you calling a homewrecker? I slapped her, hard. Joel had just finished his cigarette and walked in time to see it. He strode over, frowning. What's going on? Victoria, what are you doing? Hiding behind him. Nicole whimpered. Joel, I was just telling Victoria not to be mad at you because of me, and she called me a homewrecker and hit me. Joel glared at me. She's just a young girl. How can you humiliate her in front of everyone? Apologize. I looked at the man barking at me and felt no anger, only amusement. When I slapped her, everyone was here. Maybe ask them what she said to earn it. Joel's frown swept the crowd. People glanced at each other, unsure what to say. I gave Joel a cold smile. She announced that while I wasn't at work these past days, you've been together every night. Staying late. She said I lacked decorum. Why shouldn't I hit her? A homewrecker strutting in front of the woman whose place she's trying to steal. She's long overdue for a slap. The corner of Joel's mouth twitched. He turned to Nicole. Is that what you said? Nicole stammered. I just wanted Victoria to stop being mad at you. I didn't want you to be overworked. Joel sighed and scolded. Victoria is my girlfriend. That was disrespectful. Watch it next time. Then he turned back to me. Nicole didn't mean it. Victoria, you. Before he could finish, smack, I slapped him too. Clean and sharp. Joel clutched his cheek. Stunned. Victoria, you hit me? I met his eyes. Ice cold. A homewrecker who covets what's not hers deserves a slap. And a man who can't keep boundaries and cheats with his emotions deserves one even more. We're done. Don't bother me again. And don't ever parade something this disgusting in front of me, if I see it. I'll hit you both. I turned to our classmates with a smile. Sorry you had to witness that. Joel and I have broken up. For reasons now on display. Apologies for spoiling the evening. I've got other things to do. So I'll head out. Let's catch up another time. I picked up my bag and left without looking back. Chapter 6. The mood in the grand banquet hall was painfully awkward. Nicole's eyes were red, tears pattering down, her sobs faint but present. Clara finally couldn't stand it. Joel, do you hear yourself? What occasion is this? Is your little secretary one of our classmates? Broaden her horizons? What party on earth won't let her in? Did you really have to bring her here to strut in front of Victoria? Exactly. Others burst out after holding it in for so long. She's such a pretentious coquette, anyone can see what she's after. Are you really that blind? Or just pretending? Men are all the same, sweet talkers, no matter how deep the love. Show them something fresh and they pounce like a dog on filth. Disgusting. He's a jerk, and she's low class, always coveting what's not hers. Throwing herself at a taken man. and still daring to flaunt it in front of the actual girlfriend. No shame at all. A college grad. Really? What a moral failure. Makes you wonder how her parents raised her. Listening to the whispers and jabs, Joel's slapped cheek burned hotter. His expression darkened. He said in a low voice, "Enough, all of you. I didn't think this through, but I absolutely did not cheat. And I haven't done anything to betray her." Clara gave a frosty laugh. Is cheating only physical to you? Which woman could accept the vague, boundaryless closeness you have with Nicole? Or try this, if Victoria were glued to another man, parading him in front of you, would you tolerate it? Joel froze, about to speak, when his phone buzzed. He glanced down, a personnel transfer notice from the HR director. Project manager Victoria has resigned. His eyes flew wide. He immediately dialed HR. Hello? Joel. What's up? When did Victoria resign? Why didn't you tell me? The HR director sounded baffled. I asked her, and she said you knew. I asked if a new branch was being set up and if she'd be independently in charge. She said something like that. I figured you two had discussed it. A vein throbbed in Joel's neck as he slammed the call shut. Right then, another shareholder texted him a photo, an equity change agreement. It clearly showed Victoria's 25% stake had been sold off in scattered portions to various minority shareholders. Victoria had completely exited Joel's company. Joel swayed on his feet. His mind went blank with a ringing buzz. Chapter 7. With most loose ends tied up, I packed a light suitcase and flew to a small town in Yunnan. All these years I'd been running myself ragged for work, chasing a better life. Now that I finally had time, I wanted to see the world a little and unwind. The town was beautiful, lush shade overhead. A sky washed clean. I hired a local guide. He seemed to have minority heritage, deep-set eyes, a high bridge to his nose. He said his name was Luis. Luis was talkative, and he knew every scrap of local culture and history. We clicked, chatting the whole way. After about a week of wandering the town, Clara called me a few times. Victoria, has Joel reached you? I wouldn't know. I blocked him. And I'm traveling. Joel's running around like a madman looking for you, calling everyone you both know, asking where you are. He seems to regret it and wants to apologize. Would you forgive him? I shook my head, then realized she couldn't see and added softly, No, I don't love him anymore. Clara sighed. It's such a pity. Life is short. He took up half your first life. How can people change so fast? Staring out at the open fields, I breathed a quiet line. How easily a familiar heart can change, so easily. It seems, Clara said. I don't think Joel will give up. I heard he pulled strings to check airline info. He might track you down. He can look if he wants. Come if he wants. I didn't come to Yunnan to hide, just to breathe. His coming or not won't change anything. Clara told me that after I left the reunion. Nicole still clung to Joel, all coy and pitiful. Joel shrugged her off without a word and told her to stay away. She made a scene, and he walked off without looking back. I listened in silence. News of them stirred little in me now. Clara fumed. Men only turn when they hit a wall. Only blow their nose when the snot hits their lips. They never hold on to steady happiness, only regret once it's gone. Just then I heard a familiar call behind me. Victoria? I paused and told Clara I had to go. He'd found me. I hung up and turned calmly. Joel was sprinting toward me. He had stubble and hollowed eyes. Clearly sleep-deprived, nothing like the once spry, successful Joel. Panting. He stopped in front of me. Why did you quit? And sell your shares? Your phone's dead to me. You blocked me everywhere. I gave him a gentle smile. We broke up. I didn't want any ties. So I resigned. The proceeds from the equity are what I earned over the years, mine by right. And blocking you? A qualified ex should be as good as dead. I won't bother your life. And I don't want you in mine. That's all. I don't agree to breaking up. Victoria. His eyes were bloodshot, fixed on me. It's not a divorce. Consent isn't required. His voice roughened. All because I didn't reply for one day? I told you I was working. Don't you think you're overreacting? Yes, that day. I told you a day in advance it was important and you had to come. I messaged you first thing in the morning, from dawn to dusk. You never replied. You say you were working, but was it your work? You were fixing Nicole's project problems. She's your secretary. That's her job, not yours. You blew me off for her. And you didn't answer me, so I broke up with you. Clear enough? I'm no longer your first choice. I don't want a blemished love. Joel drew a breath, forcing himself calm. Victoria, I swear I didn't betray you. I only mentored her as a senior helping a junior. I didn't cheat. You can't sentence me to death over this. Is cheating only physical? Physical cheating disgusts me. Emotional cheating disgusts me more. I looked at him coolly. In over 20 years, I'd never imagined I'd face him this cold. You're right, you didn't physically cheat, but you basked in her adoration and allowed her to cross lines. Every time you ditched me for her, every time you let her break social distance and get closer, every time you put her before me, every time you scolded me as petty, jealous, mean, for her, I lost faith in you. A river freezes 3 feet deep, but not in a day. 1,000 small cuts, and this love can't go back. Just then Luis jogged back, holding 2 ice creams, confused by the scene. Glancing between us, I smiled to reassure him and took one. Joel's eyes went redder. Who is he? Have you been with him the whole time in Yunnan? Did something happen? And that's why you used that ridiculous excuse to break up? Victoria, did you? Smack. The second time I slapped him, I said evenly, don't project your own restlessness onto me. He's my guide. If it's not him, then tell me, why end it over me missing 1 day of messages? It was a small thing. I apologized. I breathed in. Do you know what I wanted to do that day? He blinked. What? See? After all this time, you never even asked. The old you would have. You used to put me first. Weigh my every word. Joel. I bought a ring. I was going to propose. He stood there, stunned. We grew up together, suffered together, then finally made it. Nicole's arrival was the first time I felt a real threat. I wanted to keep you, with a ring, a license. Too naive. In a way, I'm grateful you didn't come. If we had married and you kept up that blurry, boundaryless closeness with Nicole, I'd have been miserable, spiraling. I'm glad I cut my losses. Joel stared, tears finally slipping free. I didn't know. Victoria, I really didn't know you were going to propose. We planned to marry this year. I was only mentoring. Enough. I don't want to hear more empty excuses. Victoria, I can change. I was wrong. Whatever's broken, we can fix it. Don't give up on me so easily. He gripped my hand hard. Have you forgotten? We were good. So good. We made it through the worst, leaky basements and instant noodles. You said with me even noodles tasted good. I've liked you since the first moment I saw you. I never wanted anyone else. You're the only wife I've ever seen in my future. Don't let me go like this. His voice grew hoarse. Yes, the past was beautiful, and because it was, I can't accept what it's become. I won't settle. That's it. Luis and I turned to leave. Joel stayed where he was, sobbing, unable to speak. Chapter 8. I stayed in Yunnan 2 more days. Before heading back, Luis and I exchanged contacts. He walked me to the airport, those deep eyes steady on me. Will you come back to Yunnan? Looking into his clear gaze, I said, maybe. I really like it here. If you come again, let me host you. Okay. I remembered the keepsake I'd had when I first arrived at the orphanage, the token the director said might be from my birth parents. It had always been in Joel's office. I had to pick it up. The moment I stepped into the company, countless eyes turned my way. Former co-workers greeted me, hesitant, as if there was more they wanted to say. I nodded to them with a calm smile. At Joel's office, the door was half closed. Nicole's voice drifted out. Joel, I made this for you myself. Please have some. You've been eating irregularly these days. It's bad for your health. Joel's voice snapped back, raw with anger. Get out! Didn't I tell you to quit? I didn't do anything wrong. Joel, I was just worried about your health. Don't be mad at me. A loud crash followed, something swept off the desk and shattered. Nicole screamed. I said get out. Are you deaf? Expressionless. I pushed the door open. Joel's eyes lit the second he saw me. He jumped to his feet and rushed over. Victoria, you're back. Are you done being mad? I swear I won't. Realizing Nicole was there, he fumbled. There's nothing between us. She brought me something and I refused it. I told her to resign, She just won't leave you. No need to explain. I cut in. I'm only here for my jade pendant. All the color drained from his face. You're taking it back? You really want no ties at all? Let's say that's the idea. He grabbed my arm. Dignity forgotten, Victoria. Don't sentence me to death. Give me a chance to make amends. Please. I was wrong. No sense of boundaries. I hurt you. Don't end this. I'll change. We can go back to before. Nicole finally snapped, shrieking. Joel, this wasn't your fault. Don't be so meek. What's so great about Victoria? She's got a terrible temper and never understands you. You always have to coax her. She's spoiled and childish. Why debase yourself for her? Joel slapped her without patience. Shut up. Who said you could talk about Victoria like that? Nicole clutched her cheek, staring in disbelief as tears rolled down. Joel, you're so outstanding. Why grovel for her? In your relationship, you're always the one compromising. Always the one giving. Why should Victoria sit back and enjoy your kindness? Before she finished, I slapped the other side of her face. Done yet? Nicole glared at me, seething. The office door was wide open. Coworkers lingered outside, rubbernecking. I gave Nicole a cold, mirthless laugh. Who are you to judge our relationship? A social climber who can't even get acknowledged, playing the saint while being the third wheel. She shrilled. I'm just telling the truth. You're always throwing tantrums at Joel and he still sends you all those different flowers. He's so good to you, Victoria. What makes you so special? Just because you've known him longer than I have? Because I built everything from scratch with him. Because I pulled all-nighters on proposals and drank through business dinners when we had nothing. Because half of what he has today, I bled for. You think you know him? You think he's the wronged one? Spare me the moral sermon. If he weren't a CEO everyone admires, would you still drool around him like a dog? We may have broken up, but not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry gets to grade my love and labor. Know your place, homewrecker. Nicole spat back. What did I do wrong? I'm just going after what I like, the person I like. In love. The one who isn't loved is the real interloper. Smack. I slapped her again. Joel stood there watching, saying nothing. I looked at Nicole, ice in my voice. You're right, whoever isn't loved is the third wheel. You schemed, sowed division, seduced, and tempted. And now, even after our breakup, you're still the unloved one. A homewrecker stays a homewrecker, never presentable. Shameless. Despised. I moved past Joel's desk and took my jade pendant from his drawer. That's it. From now on, separate bridges, separate roads. I'm leaving. Later I heard Nicole was fired by the group. Her reputation for wrecking relationships spread across the industry. She was effectively blacklisted. No company would take her. Within a year, she returned to her hometown. Joel stopped bothering me. He kept being a CEO. Though I heard from the old company that he grew quieter, more withdrawn, and often saw a therapist. None of that mattered anymore. Letting go of someone is hard, but not impossible. I returned to the Yunnan town. Luis was there to meet me again. Will we have a new story? I don't know, but I do know I only want love that scores a full 100, 1 point less, and I won't settle. Because I deserve wholehearted, full score love.